Rewrite each expression with positive exponents. So here in part A, I see A is raised to the negative 2 power. Remember what happens with the negative exponent is it can move and become positive. So if it's negative in my numerator, it is now positive exponent in my denominator. And remember, my denominator cannot equal 0, therefore A cannot equal 0. Here in part B, there are a few things we're focusing in on. Let's focus in one at a time. The first thing I see is 3 over 15. 3 over 15 as a fraction simplifies to be 1 over 5. Now what I'm going to focus on are my negative exponents. Now once again, you might approach this different than I do, and that's okay. So now what I have is a to the negative third here and b to the negative 1 here. What I'm going to do is move both of those so now they're positive. So this b to the 4th and the a, I'm not even touching. That's why I'm keeping them black. However, the highlighted pinks, I'm going to move them so that they become positive exponents. So that a to the negative 3 now becomes a to the 3rd in the denominator. And the b to the negative 1 now becomes b to the positive 1 in my numerator. Now I can use properties of exponents to add those exponents to simplify. That becomes 1b to the 5th over 5a to the 4th. Now note, a and b both started out in the denominator and they both move around. Therefore, a cannot equal 0 and b cannot equal 0. So we don't have excluded values or undefined values along the way. So here in part C, I have x over 10 to the negative 1. So when I have an entire fraction being raised to a power, I can distribute that power to both. So this is x to the negative 1, 10 to the negative 1. Once again, you might do this differently than I do. Now, in order to make those negative exponents positive, I'm going to switch them around. So this becomes 10 to the 1 over x to the 1, or 10 over x. And since x moved into our denominator, x cannot equal 0, so we don't have any undefined values. So now, in part D, I have two quantities multiplying with exponents. So the first thing I notice here is this cubed power. So I'm going to distribute that to everything in those parentheses. So I have negative 2 being cubed, and now I'll have x to the 6th now because I multiplied those exponents. Now I have a negative exponent here. That entire quantity is being raised to the negative 1 power. So what I'm going to do is move all of that to my denominator. So that's 4x cubed, and it's all to the 1st power in my denominator now. So it's staying the same. Now I can simplify more. Negative 2 to the 3rd is negative 8, and I still have x to the 6th over 4x cubed. Now I will simplify my fraction. Negative 8 over negative 4 is negative 2, and then I'll simplify my x's. X to the 6th over x to the 3rd is x to the 3rd. Oops. And what's left in my denominator is just 1. So my answer is negative 2x cubed. But remember, at this point, x was in the denominator, so we have an excluded value. X cannot equal 0. So once again, You might do this in a totally different set of ordered steps than I do. As long as we get the same final answer, we are good.